Hmm. So welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're here. This is today's session, OneNote tips and tricks. My name is Carrie Sorensen. I am from Cal State Long Beach. I live in the Division of IT on campus. Today's session is a part of the cross-campus collaboration through learning development out of the chancellor's office. So it's always fun to see folks from other campuses in these sessions. I really enjoy it. We're going to be together for about an hour. If you were in the Excel class from last week, welcome back. As far as question and answer goes, you're always welcome to drop any questions that you have in the chat. We'll have a little bit more time today at the end in today's session than we did in the Excel session for question and answer. If there are things that I don't get to in the chat or in the follow-up, then you can expect me to include answers to those questions in my email that you will get from me later today. So if you've been to other sessions with me, you know that I typically will send a follow-up email with some goodies in there. One of those things is typically going to be the sample file that I'm using to do today's demonstration. So you can sit back and watch the show. Everything that you're going to watch me do, you'll have the opportunity to do as well. You can go back and revisit the video. I'll send you a link to this video as well. Um, I'll also have a two-sided quick reference guide for you. Some folks like to call those the cheat sheets. So pretty much everything that I'm going to be clicking through is documented in that quick reference guide. So you'll have that as well. And we already did our roll call. I just want to see how many people we have in here. Okie dokes. We're looking good. So this is our agenda. For the next hour, we're going to talk about OneNote basics, and we're going to start at the baseline. So if you are somewhat familiar with OneNote, just hang tight through the first few minutes because we want to make sure everybody's on the same footing as we begin, and then we're going to start to build momentum as we go. So we're going to talk about the basics, what is it, why folks should use it, and how it can help you to increase efficiency in the work that you do. And then I'll just give you a basic, thanks, Liz. I'll give you a basic tour of the interface just so we know what we're calling things as I start to click around and kind of go crazy in there. And then we're going to drop into the meat of today's session and why you're here, which is the tips and tricks. And so we'll walk through how to create a new notebook. We'll talk about the basic structure of how people would normally structure your notebooks within the application and the other elements within those notebooks. And then as we go through that, I'll be dropping in, of course, some productivity features to help you work a little easier. So if you want to know exactly what we're going to cover within that agenda, this is the detailed list, but this will all be in the materials that I will be sending to you a little later today. So let's look at these pictures here. And of course, I left my handy dandy notebook in my other work bag, and that's okay. It's in the kitchen. We'll just imagine. So we see a notebook here with a laptop. We see another laptop with some Post-its. We see a wire-bound notebook, and then we see a Word document. All of these things serve as ways for us to record thoughts, take notes, make lists, make to-do lists and checklists as we walk through our days. Even though a lot of those lists and to-dos that we create we might create while we're at work, I'm, also adding to those same pieces of paper or in my wire-bound notebook, things like shopping lists and things like that. And I've even been known to, I don't know why it's become a habit of mine. I actually keep a Word document on my desktop called Carrie's Work Notes, as if I just needed another place to take notes. And, part of this, the reason for all of these different types of note taking and recording of thoughts and messages, especially in today's, work environment where some of us may be working hybrid, and I'm going back and forth from remote location back to the office. There have been times where I might make a note on my Post-it and stick it on my desk here at home and then go to the office and I'm like, what was that note that I made? And so the idea here is that although all of these methods are effective ways to take notes and make lists, the problem is that they all live in different places. And so what we're here to talk about today, OneNote, what OneNote does is it brings all of those notes that we might be making in different places and it brings them to one location into the application called OneNote. And the nice thing about OneNote application is that you have automatic syncing between devices. So I'm sitting in a meeting, I have OneNote open, I'm taking great notes in there. I might need to take a break, and as we call it in the division of IT, when someone's going to run out to the restroom, we call it going down the hall. So I might need to pop out of that meeting and run down the hall, but I see somebody on my way. They tell me something very important that I'm supposed to take note of. So I take my phone out and just make a little note on OneNote there. And when I get back to my laptop in the meeting, all of those notes are going to be synced in one place. So whether you're using a laptop, a desktop, a mobile device, whether it be a cell phone or a tablet, all of this is syncing into the cloud so that no matter where you're accessing the information, it's going to be there. Why use it? Of course, it's a way to stay organized and to keep track of all of those tasks and notes that we're gathering throughout the day. I do want to make one note on versions of OneNote. So I'm using a Mac here today. And I'm using I have Office 365 installed on this Mac. If you are a Windows user, so Windows has, like, in the last versions of Windows 10 or 11, whatever you're on, Windows now has all of these apps within the operating system. So lots of things have their own separate app dedicated. There is a separate OneNote app that is built into the operating system, whether it's Windows 10 or 11. And I just want to point out that if you have been using that version, that app is actually going to reach end of life as of October 25th, which means it will no longer be updated or supported. It works. It's very similar to the Office 365 version that we're using in today's demo. There are some differences, and I actually have those documented in the materials that I'll be giving to you in case you're interested. And I also document those just so if you have been using it and you're wondering why I'm maybe not covering a certain feature, just know that it might be because it's one of those features that are in that Windows 10 or 11 OneNote app that will be going away. But if you have Office 365, October 2025, did I say 2024? So it's 2025. If you have, whether you're a Mac or a Windows user, as long as you have Office 365 installed, or the latest version of Office, and you're using the Notes application from within that installed version, then you're going to be using the same one that I'm using today. Hopefully that's not terribly confusing. Okay, so with that, let's take a look at the interface. First of all, OneNote, whether you are accessing it from one of the installed version or from the installed application on your computer, or if you're accessing it through the web version of Office, so Office 365 through the web, it is this purple icon with the big N on it for Note. And when you click this icon, it's going to open up an interface that looks something similar to this. Just to kind of walk through the options up here at the top. Again, I'm using a Mac, so if it looks a little bit different, it's very similar, if not same, for the Windows version of OneNote. So we have our home tab or home ribbon. I know if you're a Windows user, folks tend to call this the ribbon, and Mac users will tend to call it tab. So we have the home tab. We'll call it the toolbar today. Um, where we're going to do most of our work here today. And as you can see here, there aren't that many toolbars up at the top. So there's like 4, 5, 6. So it's a very thin application. You're not going to be like buried in buttons and options. It's not like Word or Excel where you have like all these different, it's a pretty straightforward application. It's pretty slim. So we have our home ribbon, our home toolbar where we're going to do most of the work today. Insert is another area that we're going to walk through, where you can insert different types of content. There is a draw feature here where you can do some fun drawings if your job or task requires that. And then we'll look at a couple of options on the view toolbar. So these are just different ways to look at your notebook. And then I'm going to skip class notebook and then I'm going to click on tell me. This is a new feature in a recent update. So it's just a shortcut to quickly find things that you want to do. If you don't want to go searching through the toolbars, you can just search and the item will recommend something for you. Okay, so looking at the basic structure over here. So in the upper left-hand corner, this little icon here, it looks like 3 books and then one is kind of like leaning over. So you can think of this section here as your notebook. So think of like when you were, for whatever reason, it might have been outside of school. Maybe you use it in work too. You have like the black binder, or we used to get the big, thick wire-bound notebooks that sometimes came pre-divided with the tabs in there. So you can think of this as like your bookshelf of all your main notebooks. And then moving slightly to the right here, this is the active notebook that I'm looking at now. You can have multiple notebooks. We'll go through how to create new ones. If you want to expand this to look at the other notebooks that you have within your file here, you just click the little drop down and then you can see all notebooks that you have available. On this active notebook that I'm looking at here, as I look just below it, I see 4 tabs. 2 of them are red. So I have demo, training, CSU, and then personal. So you can think of these little dividers, just like the dividers that you would put inside of your, the notebook, like a loose leaf notebook or the one that you would buy that was pre-divided. So these are just your different sections or dividers within your notebook. And just like in the real thing, in between those little dividers, in real life, in the real physical notebook, you would have pages, right? So that's what each one of these things are. So within each section, as you click through it, you have pages, and that's what is appearing in this panel here. Okay, so how to create a new workbook. So we're just going to work our way through these pages here. This is the file that I'm going to share with you, so you'll be able to repeat all of this as well. So just a note too on my documentation. So when I mention like the click path for something, between the Mac operating system and the Windows operating system, if it's the same click path, I just say what it is or document what it is. If there is a difference between those 2 operating systems, I do call out each one separately so you know what to do. So to create a new workbook on a Mac, you're going to go File and then New Notebook. And it's just slightly different. If you're on a Windows machine, they'll be in the bottom left. There's going to be a little plus sign, plus notebook, and then you'll enter the notebook name there. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new notebook here. So I'm going to go File, and then this 4th option here is New Notebook. So you get the option to select a color. So I'm going to go ahead. I don't think I have a purple one here. I'll do purple. And then over here to the right, I'm going to give this a name. So I'm just going to call this test notebook. And then before you click create, because I've made this mistake before, you always want to make sure that you are saving this to the correct location. This is especially important if you work at more than one campus, so you might be toggling between two different logins. Or for myself, I have a personal Hotmail account. So I've made the mistake where I like think I'm logged into my Cal State Long Beach account. I create a new test or a new notebook, just click create, and then I'm like, where did it go? So just make sure if you do have more than one login that the correct location is selected here in the where option. So I'll go ahead and click create. Oh, it already exists. I'm going to call this test notebook 2 and then click create. Okay, so it's creating my notebook and it takes me back to my application here, and you can see that it just dropped me right into the blank test notebook 2 that I just created. So if I want to toggle back to a different notebook, so I want to go back to the training demo, I'm just going to drop this down and click the notebook that I want to get into here. Okay, so now let's talk about the insert ribbon. This is where we're going to do most of have most of our fun today. So um I'm looking at a blank page here. To start typing on this page or to insert text, all you do is just click and start typing. When you type, that text is going to be held inside of this container, and anything that you insert into a page in OneNote is going to be contained in one of these containers. This is kind of nice because especially if like you're brainstorming and you're throwing down ideas, you can very quickly like just shuffle this stuff around. I just totally dragged it way too far. That's okay. I'm gonna add something again here. I dragged it way off into Mars. So you can drag these ideas around if you have pictures or, websites or embedded files or whatever. So it just kind of helps to arrange your page. When you are adding text, there is an option to use headings for formatting. This is an accessibility thing, so if you're familiar with accessibility or web accessibility at all, this is a nice touch, especially if you're going to be sharing out and collaborating with these OneNote files. It's always a good just basic design to always use headings if they are available to you, because it helps to make a document more accessible by embedding a specific structure within your document. So you have heading 1, heading 2. It looks very similar to what you would see in Word. So any main ideas would, of course, would be like a heading 1. Any um, nested ideas below that would be heading 2, and then if you have anything embedded below those would be heading 3, etc. It also makes it more readable because visually it calls out. And so it's more clear like where the main ideas are in this document, especially helpful if it gets really long. You know what? I don't think they can be customized like Word. Um, and this is just an update that I noticed. I ran this training some months back and this option wasn't even here. So I think it just is what it is. It'd be an interesting test if you wanted to change it though. Like if you copied it, I know it's a little extra work, if you copied and pasted it into Word, and then you could really play with the headings there and then paste it back, but we could test that later. Um, Maureen, I'll circle back to that. Okay, so that's adding text. And then another option here, when we're brainstorming, you might want to add in a document for other folks to reference or for you to reference later, just to keep it all in one place for future reference. So there are 3 ways to insert a document. I'm going to insert the document and go insert file and then select the file. And when I go insert, and I'll click the paperclip icon. It's just like inserting an attachment in an email. and then I'll go find the document. And then when I click open, it's going to ask me a question and give me three options. How do I want to insert this file? Do I want to upload it to OneDrive and insert a link? Do I want to insert this as an attachment, or do I want to insert it as a printout? I'm going to walk through each of these so you know the difference and how they can be useful in different situations. But for the first one here, I'm going to upload to OneDrive and insert link. So this is probably the more typical method that you'll want to use if you are collaborating. So if you are sharing out notes, which oftentimes is very useful if working on a project, and usually you have like your best note taker, or maybe it's the project lead or whatever that is taking notes and wants to share out this information, you're going to want to use this option, which uploads the document to your OneDrive and then simply inserts a link. And if I were to click this link here, it's going to open from the cloud that saved document that's on OneDrive. The reason for this is that especially if you have multiple people accessing this file, you'll all be working from the same version here because it's referencing that one instance that's living in the cloud. Um, if you weren't if you were to have more than one version, and I'll talk about that one in just a second, you can run into trouble where you have multiple versions with different content, and then that's where errors can happen. So I'll insert a document again. In this case, let's see, I'll click this one here and then click open. And this time I'm going to insert as attachment. So you can think of this as just like an email attachment. It's a separate copy that you have attached here. So now with this method, I have this copy here of this document, but also the copy that's living wherever I uploaded it from. So there may be a use case where this is perfectly fine. I would imagine like if it were an image or a map or like an infographic, something like that, that is not going to be edited by multiple people, and you just want to like dump the attachment here, that would be one use case for it. I'm sure there are others, but just note that if you do use this method, now you have two copies and you could run into that scenario where each copy is different, right? And then the third option when inserting a file, and I'll use this one again. You can insert it as a printout. So I happen to be inserting a PDF, but if this wasn't a PDF, if it was whatever type of file, it's going to convert it to a PDF, and then it's going to insert it so that you can see the entire document. So whatever it was before, doesn't matter if it's Excel, Word, PowerPoint, what have you, it will convert it to a PDF and then show you the entire document. Again, this is a separate instance, so this wouldn't be useful if you are making active edits with multiple people, but this is useful if you just want to have this document like accessible here, so that folks don't have to click on it and go that extra step. You just want to have it viewable for everybody that's looking at this, or just for yourself. So those are the three ways to insert a document. Okay, insert picture. Will a printout work when the PDF is already a signed PDF? Yeah, it just basically it's what you're looking at is essentially the same as like a printed version of that. So if it's signed, it'll show that it's signed. Um, 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 um. Okay, insert a picture, pretty straightforward. You can insert a picture through the insert feature here on the toolbar, or you can just copy and paste something from another location. So insert picture. Let's see, let me pick something that is loyal to Long Beach. So I got my little LB there. You can also copy paste straight from the web. Insert a screenshot. Okay, so this is another feature that I have found kind of useful, especially when you're brainstorming or you're in a meeting and the ideas are flowing. A lot of times I have, we have a web browser open and we're doing research there and we're finding something and maybe that something is useful and we want to bring it into this environment. So the screen clipping tool is a cool feature to allow that. So we're going to go insert and then we go screenshot and then screen clipping. So I could select one of these windows that happens to be open. Or if I do screen clipping, it's going to take me to whatever is behind this window here. So I'm just gonna, let's see, I'll go here. So it just brought in the whole window there. If I wanted to just take a portion of a screen, I'll go screen clipping. It actually, I said it would take me to whatever is behind this window, and it happens to be the gallery from the Zoom. So I'm just gonna screenshot myself. Nice picture. I'm deleting that. Okay. Um, So, way to quickly gather information. You don't have to do like, print screen or use some other third-party application. It's built in here. When you're brainstorming, you want to bring in a screenshot of something that you have open on your desktop, whether it be another application or something on the web. You just use the screen clipping tool to pop that in. Okay, insert link. So we have a link to a document here, but um, there will there may be times when you want to bring in a link to a web page, which is a very common thing when we are taking notes and making references to information that is living in other places. So um, Okay, so a couple of ways that you can insert a link. You can copy paste from another location. Let me just grab something here. Mm, 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 mm. I have so many windows open. And it will just pop in the raw URL. But again, if you are sharing this information or maybe you're drafting something for future use that's going to be used like in a more formal document or location, you can make it a little more user-friendly using the insert link option here. So I copy and pasted the CSUN Accessibility Conference link to their homepage, or I could do something a little more user-friendly like this. So for reference, please review the CSUN Accessibility Conference. Is it funny how when people are watching, you can't type, or is that just me? I feel like when I'm by myself and I'm typing, sometimes like smoke is actually coming off of this keyboard. But just let one person watch me and I'm like all the um websites. Okay, so in this case, I would highlight whatever it is that I want to link. And it's just like in Word or Outlook when you would make a link, but it's just going to be a little more user friendly. And then I click link, and then now I'll pop in that URL again, and then click OK. So it's the same thing, same effect, except it's just a little more user friendly. So again, especially useful if you're going to be using this for a more formal purpose down the road. So maybe this is like all going to be a draft of something, or you're just making it a little easier on the eyes for other people who are going to be accessing it. And then to try to print something, print to OneNote is an option. Yeah. So it'll just pop it in here like a PDF. Insert audio recording. Again, in the spirit of taking notes and gathering information and in IT where I work, our seasonal work is like very ebb and flow. We have like our crazy time. And I know when, that is happening for me, it's like just information is flying everywhere all at once. And so sometimes even typing might take a little too long. And let's say I just left a meeting and I didn't have time, or I, didn't write it down and I want to just get it out of my head a little quicker. You can create an audio recording of your voice. So let's say I'll click from the insert toolbar, I'm going to click audio recording. And it is recording now. I think it is recording. It looks different now. There was an update. So this is a recording. I just left my meeting. I'm pretending to make notes, and that meeting was great. Everybody did what they were supposed to do. Everyone's on task, and all things are going to be done on time. So I'll hit stop, and then now I have an audio recording that I can play. Oh, so it actually is playing on my computer. You can see that it's running through the thing here, and then you can hit pause. So this is just a way to, again, quickly get that information out of your brain. Maybe you want to come to it later when you have more time and just make that verbal recording for yourself. Another option. Insert meeting details. Okay, so you're, moving from one meeting to meeting. One meeting to another meeting. And I know especially like when I'm on campus, we're even what is this saying here? I got some weird pop-up. Um, so I might be moving physically from one room to another, and have my laptop with me, sit down, open it up, and sometimes if my day is busy enough, I'm like, where even am I, right? What meeting is this? What are we talking about? So you can very quickly, because OneNote talks to the other applications within Office, you can very quickly start a new meetings page, or a new notes page using this option to insert meeting details. So let's just pretend here. Okay, so let's say I just dropped into this meeting and I'm going to go insert. So I have a just blank page here, and then I'm going to click on meeting details, and it actually is looking at my calendar right here, and it's bringing up the meetings that I have scheduled for today. And I'll just click the picnic committee meeting. That's going to be my favorite meeting of the day. And look at auto populates this. So I can just start typing away and going to work. It automatically titles this with the name of the meeting. It gives me the meeting date and time. If there were any attachments that were given in the meeting, it's going to attach those as well as any notes that were in the body of the meeting invite. So this is a really nice, convenient way to just get to work without having to type all of those details in. So it's very obvious. You run from meeting to meeting, like, where am I? What are we talking about? Just click it and it's all there for your reference later. They do have the transcribe feature. It is a different, can it convert the recording to written notes? Yes. Um, and we'll look at a version of that in a second. Okay, so insert audio recording, insert meeting details, insert stickers. This is just a fun kind of silly willy thing that they have in here just to, you know, fun factor. I have one buddy, I have one buddy in IT who every time I ever do like the slightest thing, she'll send me like a little sticker or some like thing through Teams that's like a, gold stamp for the day. And as silly as that is, I'm not gonna lie, like there's a part of me that's like, oh, thank you. I did good. So if you're collaborating with your team, you just want to like make things a little fun, you have all these options here to kind of spice up your pages. Okay, so that is insert stickers. Any questions? Let me check the chat. Does it connect to Google Calendar events? Rachel, you know what? I don't know, but let me make a note of that and I will include an answer in my follow-up. Okay. How are we on time? We're right on time. Okay, embedding video. So you can embed video. That's another resource when you are, gathering information. Maybe, instead of putting the hyperlink to a web page where people have to click it and go visit the page, you're reducing wasted time in your day and others' days by just putting the video here. Yes, I will be sharing this video. Just a note too, I didn't mention, and I know we're three-quarters of the way through the session. Um, I know when I sometimes say that I'm recording the video, people are like, okay, well, I'm gonna like drop off and check the video later, which is perfectly fine with me. If you have to drop off, please do. But if it is important that you want full credit for attendance, just know that 75% of the session is required to get credit for attendance. So just an FYI there. Okay, so to add a video, I'm gonna delete this one. All you got to do is grab the URL. So I'm on another, hold on, I just hit play by accident. Just grab the URL from YouTube or wherever and then paste it in here, and it automatically will insert the name of the video with a thumbnail. And I don't know if I shared my dun, 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 dun. So you can play the video right from here. Just another way to bring in information, and then have it like, one click away through copying and paste or embedding video. OCR. So sometimes, and I have had this experience through my life at Cal State Long Beach in the 100 years that I've been here. When you are gathering information, you might be taking it from an existing place, document or website or whatever, and then you might want to refresh that information. And so if you have something like this is an infographic that's very text heavy. If you were going to like refresh this into like, the current semester or year, that's a lot of typing to have to retype all of this text, right? Because it's an image, that's what would have to happen. But there is an option called OCR, that is short for optical character recognition. And so when you copy and paste any image that has text into OneNote without you doing anything else, it's already starting to render OCR on that image. And so something like this, you can very easily extract the text from in order to continue the work that you're doing. So in order to do that, I'm just going to right click on this image, and then I'm going to go copy text from picture. And then I'll just come below here and then just paste. And it doesn't do a perfect job. Of course, it's pulling it from an image, but it does a good enough job that it gives you enough to give you something to start with that will, in the end, it still reduces the amount of typing that you're going to have to do. So there is going to be some correction depending on the image. But yeah, I agree, Angela. I love this feature. I have used this, especially like, if you work in the research. So will this record? Yes, recording will be available. Um, you know, research department where you have tons of stats and tables and things like that, that are on an infographic like this, you can just right click and copy the text. So search is a powerful thing, right? Google is like, how much more powerful does it get than that? Um, when you get into your email, you want to very quickly search and find that email that might contain a document or a message or something. And so it doesn't matter what application we're using, search is important. If you're using Excel, you're going to filter and get right to the information that you need. If you're in Outlook, you go up into the search bar, And so the equivalent of search within OneNote one of the tools that makes this super helpful is this tags feature. And so you have some built-in tags here. I'm going to go to my home ribbon. These are the built-in tags. So it's to do, important, question, remember for later. So as you are in your meetings, you can just tag something. I'll go here and tag this as a to-do. I'll tag this as importante. And of course, this is all my shopping list. I've told this joke before, but I think it's so funny. I saw a meme, because I live like literally 3 minutes walking distance to a Trader Joe's. So I walk there like almost every day. And I saw a meme that said that my favorite part of shopping at Trader Joe's is having to go to a real grocery store to finish my shopping. And it's funny because it's true. No detergent, no paper plates. Um, Okay, so I've applied some tags here. This is a to-do. You can create your own tags. You can create custom tags. So if you have a special project that you're working on, I have a custom tag that I created here called Tech Day that happens to be a special project that I work on every year. I'll just create a new one called Accessibility. If I were working on then just create a little, select your icon, and then it is added to the mix here. So for example, I'll just apply that here. Okay, so the way this works is now you've got all these notebooks, all these notes, and you've been asked a question. You need to get in here, search based on those tags to find the thing that you want. And so to the far left here, there's a little search icon. I'm going to click this. And you can see that by default, all of these are showing up here. So I can search for anything that's been tagged as important. Um, I can look for all my to-dos, etc. It's not showing the hearts yet. It probably just hasn't rendered in there, but it will show that because it does show the custom tag. So this is the way to find information. You can also just do a basic search for text. So by default, when you click the search icon, it's going to take you to tags. But if I wanted to click on pages, you could just click a search term. So I'll type CSUN, and then it gives me every page where the instance of CSUN appears. Will the to-do be added to be list on your team? Will the to-do be added to your list on? No, it's not. That would be nice if it did. It's a separate to-do. Um, okay, so let's go back to my notebooks. Let's go back to demo. Um, OneNote Web Clipper. Okay, so this requires a little add-on. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to hang on 1 second. Okay. This requires an add-on. It is available in Chrome or Firefox if you want to use it. But again, in the spirit of just gathering information and dumping it into this central location, there is this thing called a web clipper where you can clip an entire web page and it embeds the web page into your notes page and it's live. So you close notes, you go home, you go on vacation, you're gone for a week. If that web page is updated, it's going to show the current version always of that web page. So this is what it looks like. Um, I'm going to clip this one just because I use this as my example here. If I can, oh, hold on. I have to minimize this a little bit. Okay. So I have the CSUN. I know this passed already, but this is a page that we tend to visit quite often in our department at Cal State Long Beach of IT. So um, up here on the, oop, I clicked the wrong one. Sorry. Let me close that. I didn't mean to open Wave. Up here on the little add-on section of, I'm using Chrome. If I click this and the extensions, I have this little OneNote web clipper already installed. By the way, in my follow-up materials will be instructions on how to add an add-on if you're not familiar with that. But if I click this, it's going to ask me, do I want to do this whole page? Do I just want a certain region? I'm going to do the full page. And then the next question is, where do I want to put it? So I'm going to put this in, let's put it in, we'll put it here. Training demo training, and then clip. Okay, so it's clipping page. And then if I go back to my OneNote, training demo training, where did it put it? I think it's going to show up here. There it goes. So it took a second for it to render, but it embedded that entire web page here. This is, again, active. So if this, at some point, it's going to turn to CSUN Assistive Technology Conference 2025. Whenever that is updated out on the World Wide Web, it's going to automatically update here. So this is just another key feature to bring information to this central place. Okay. Let's go back here. Sharing. So we talked about gathering of all this information. One of the great features of OneNote is the ability to share this stuff out so that you can have people collaborate with you. You can share out a notebook, you can share out a single tab, or you can just share out one page. To share a notebook, you just right click on the notebook and go share. And then you can send folks a link. So it'll send it through Microsoft Office, just like if you share a document through OneDrive or something like that. You can copy a link so that you can make a more personalized message. Let's say you want to copy the link to this notebook, and then open up your I have so many things open. Open up your holy moly. Okay, it's not letting me grab my open up your email and create a new email. And then you can just highlight this, hyperlink, and then I just pasted in the link to the notebook that I just copied, and then you can send this off and you've got a personalized message sharing it out that way. You can, if you right click on this and you go copy link to the section, this is just going to give the person a link. And then again, you go put it into an email or pop it into Teams or whatever messaging service you're using, and you can share it out that way. And it's the same exact method to share out a specific page. So you just right click and go to copy link to page, and then you can send that off. Now, one thing to note is if you are sharing out with folks, sometimes there is movement in positions, or somebody might move from like one department to another, and then there is no need for access to that information anymore. So if you ever need to manage the access, we will right click on the notebook and go to share and manage notebook access. So if you need to remove or reduce or increase someone's permissions, this is where you can manage that. Version history. So again, we're talking about sharing out and collaborating with folks. Sometimes when you have a lot of chef's hands in the pot, so to say, wonderful things can happen, which is usually what happens, but also mistakes can be made, right? So maybe there's an inadvertent deletion or some idea goes, in one way and it was supposed to go in a different way and you want to kind of revert back to the original idea. There is versioning if you do have multiple people working in your files. And so to see a version, let's see if I have one here. I think I have here. So if you right click and go to show page versions, it will just list them below if multiple versions exist. So if there were never any changes, only the last version is going to show. And then you can click through these and review the ideas. If one of them is the one that you want to revert back to, you just right click and say restore version, and then it will take that back to the current version. Okay, so that's versioning. So dictation, somebody asked about making a recording. So this is the dictation feature, which is similar to what I did when I made an audio clip. But this is probably even more useful if you have like a lengthy document that you're working on and you don't feel like typing, you can just dictate. And so how do we dictate? From the home ribbon, I'm going to click on the microphone here. And is it listening to me? Yes, it is working. Period. New paragraph. These are instructions to share a notebook. This is ideal. Period. New paragraph. This is ideal for group projects or note-taking during meetings. Period. Right click on notebook, then go to share, then go to send and copy link. I'm just giving text. And then I'll click stop when I'm done. So you can see that there are some little like controls that you can do with your voice. You saw it not obey me first, and then it obeyed me below here. I think there's like it's in how long you pause after you say the word period or say the word new paragraph. What and which will dictate what it will do. Actually type out those words or give you a new paragraph. So that is the dictation feature someone asked about. Okay, we've got 5 minutes left and we're right on time. Oh, okay. Great, Gracie, you figured that out. So, I'll visit the chat when I'm done. I want to keep moving so I make sure I get everything that I intend to get to you. Okay, so immersive reader. This is a feature. I don't know that this will be useful for everybody, but I have found it useful. One of the things that I do as an IT trainer is I write user documentation. And although my favorites are those two-sided cheat sheets or the quick reference guides, sometimes, there I have been known to write an 80 pager. And so when you're reading that information, or let's say like you're, planning text for a web page that's very text heavy, sometimes your eyeballs, when you've read this content over and over and over, it will miss things like, you have two thes or, the there type thing. And so I have found that this is a nice way to read text-heavy content, but make it easier on your eyes. And it helps to focus too. You can probably tell just with the way I train, I tend to get distracted kind of easily. And so immersive reader, you're going to go view immersive reader right here. And what this does is it presents your content in this way so that it is easier to focus. You have some basic options up over in the upper right-hand corner. You can increase or decrease your text. You can toggle on or off, increase spacing. More space between text on a page is always going to be more readable. Over here, you can highlight certain types of parts of speech. And then over here, you can focus in on 1, 2, 3, or I think it's 1, 3, or 5 lines at a time. I have used this, and then you can hit the down arrow or just hit the down arrow on your keyboard. This is a great way to proofread, and you know, you'll catch some stuff reading your content like this. If you don't want to read it with your eyeballs, let's say you want to multitask, you can just hit play.
19. Tag summary. Use the tag summary feature to get an overview of all the
You can listen to it as well. So just another feature. Going back to your notebooks in general here. So we have our bookshelf, our notebooks, the tabs, and then the pages. One additional way that you can organize your content, if you really start to like go ham with this and use it all the time, you're going to have a lot of content. And the more content you have, the more difficult it can become to find stuff. And so one way to kind of reduce that is by using sections or grouping your pages. You can create section groups. Um, to create a new section group, you just right click in an empty area over here, and then you can click new section group, and you just, I'll call this Tech Day. And then you can grab sections and put it under this group. And I know it's, I only have 4 sections, so it's not a whole lot, but imagine if I had like 30 sections. Now I can expand and then collapse so that I can organize these in chunks, which will just make it a little easier to find stuff. You can create groups here. You can also group pages at this level. So let's see, I have templates. I have template 1 and template 2 here. Okay, thank you, Erin. You can, if I right click on this and I tell it to make a sub page, it just kind of indents it a little bit. And then I can now collapse this page. So you can create hierarchies with like parent pages and then child pages below it. And that's all just to kind of organize and make your stuff a little easier to find. So we reached the end. I thought I was going to have more time for question and answer. I will download the chat and review if there are questions that I missed, and I can supply answers for those in my follow-up. I will definitely do that for you. When I give you this file, this last note here is where you'll find some more documentation. Yes. Amber, I will be sending you an email, and I want to thank you all for your time. It's always so cool. I love doing these cross-campus collaboration trainings because it's so much fun to see folks from other campuses. And everybody have a great day. I'm going to be offering some new topics in the next go-round of this series. So hopefully I'll see you in another training down the line. Everybody have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye.